So we had day 7 of the protests in Elizabeth City for justice for Andrew Brown, who was murdered, you know, just in cold blood by a truck full of white supremacist gangsters, also known as the Sheriff's Department of Pasquotank County. And so I arrive at the public safety building sometime around noon, and you know, a lot of the protest actions don't get a little bit hefty until like around 5ish. So I arrive, and so at this point we just block a bridge because that's what we do now. We just block bridges, and so that's what we do. And so we're spreading out at the bridge. It's being occupied, and so we walk from the bridge somewhere else. And then we walk, you know, I'm not trying to be like, you know, skimmy, but like we're just walking down the street. Like, I don't know how many details you need for me to transmit the information of us walking down the street. Good chat question. Any Trump idiots driving around menacing? Yes, there's a fucking shitload. There's a shitload. Again, I want to remind everyone, this is a southern town. About 50% of the people that live in this city voted for that motherfucker. About 80% of cops voted for that motherfucker. So yes, we've got Trumpers. We had some people with like Trump Pence bumper stickers, like kind of like driving down, beeping at us, like screaming their middle fingers, calling us fucking monkeys or whatever, which is, you know, just, that's a whole nother can of worms, right? And like, these motherfuckers are crazy. They're crazy. They're out of control, and they're everywhere. Like, we've had like almost every single day interactions with Trumpers, and to be honest, I just stopped mentioning them because they've been so normalized. Like, yes, they are going to be Trumpers. They're going to be some motherfuckers. And you know, and that's just the way that it is. A lot of local businesses are boarding up and, you know, talking about my camera. Like, we had, like, there's this local business that had boards up, right? And then there's, like, a fucking paper with Sharpie written. It's like, we have 2 cameras here. And it's like, okay. I'm like, all right. You know, it's like, thank you for that. So, like, yes, we've got a lot of the typical, like, boomers who think that the black people are running through the streets, rioting and looting. Nothing like that is even remotely happening. But that's what they think because they're in a fantasy world, and there's really no, like, going outside, like, stepping outside of their home. Like, because it's not like it's down, it's not like it's in another state. It's not like it's in another city. It's literally outside of their house, right? So if it's, like, comparing looking at Facebook for information or stepping outside for 3 seconds, right, the Trumpers, they can't do that. They can't step outside for 3 seconds. They got to get their information from Facebook. And so that's creating, like, this bizarre worldview. I am not going to bog down this segment with Bodan's just disgusting and horrible and evil statement, and I'll get into that later. But Bodan, Jesus motherfucking Christ, man. Anyway, so after this moment, we march through the streets of some of, again, the wealthier neighborhoods. Not the, like, wealthiest neighborhoods, but, you know, we got a destination here. And this is pretty interesting because, like, there's a lot of people on the porches, and I'll put some audio on. Right? I'm in, like, the back of the crowd, so, like, the chants are not that loud back here. And that's something we gotta work on. But, you know, a lot of people are, like, looking at us from the porches. Like, you can see there's, like, some white people, like, with their cameras out, like, kind of, like, treating us like fucking cartoon characters. And then you got, like, some, you know, regular people that are normal, like, coming out, like, jumping over the little fucking whatever, the railing on their porch and just, like, coming out to march with us, which is pretty cool. And so that's one of the fun parts about going, like, in a small town such as this, right? Is we're just going through these residential neighborhoods and we're screaming, get out of your house and get into the street. And then people are like, oh shit, I'm going to get out of the house and get into the street, right? And so we're like, you know, and that's one of the things that's beautiful about this is we just are going through these neighborhoods, picking up more people. The protest group is getting louder and louder and louder. It's getting more and more and more people. And it's just, it's a win-win. And sure, yeah. And again, the people that aren't going to get out of their house, right, those are the people that we want to be very upset, right? So, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, option 1, we get people out of their house and in the street. Option 2, the people who don't want to get out of the house and in the street cry like little babies in their house, thinking that the black people are running and rioting and looting through the street. Because that's what they think, right? Like, these motherfuckers, like, we have people in the crowd, like, they're on Facebook, like we have people in the crowd that, like, will read boomer comments, like, live in the crowd. It's like, Karen on Facebook just said this from inside a house in this street, right? It's like, oh, they're like, you know, like, and that kind of stuff. And so like these people genuinely think that like there's like Molotov cocktails being thrown, and like they're just afraid to not even go out of their house but to look out of their window. They're that afraid of peaceful protesters that they're afraid to open their goddamn curtain and look out their goddamn window. It's a shame, man. It's a shame that people live like this. And so here's the situation where an ambulance needs to cross by an occupied intersection, so everyone gets out of the way. And I wanted to, you know, highlight this segment here because, again, a lot of the boomer Karens are like, oh, what if an ambulance needs to go through? They're just going to let the ambulance, they're going to let people on the ambulance die because of their protest. No, we just get out of the way. For an ambulance rolls up and we all get out of the way. Right? And so, like, that's what you need to understand. Is that, like, you know, why would protesters block an emergency vehicle? It doesn't make any sense, right? So, like, I just wanted to make sure that that was filmed, documented. Everyone got out of the way. And then, as you can see, everyone starts reoccupying the street as soon as the emergency vehicle is not there anymore. And so then, again, we start marching down this street. We start marching back down to that motherfucking bridge. And, again, I want to remind everyone, the bridge, right? I want to remind everyone that motherfucking bridge is, like, you might think it's not that important, right? But it is, the only detour for that bridge is a 30-minute detour, right? And so when I went to, like, the other side of the bridge at one point, I was going to get footage, but, like, I was, like, so in the zone, I forgot that I had a camera that I get footage for. And so, like, I went over there, there's, like, 18-wheelers, man. There's, like, truck after truck after truck. And I understand these motherfuckers are just trying to get to their job. They're trying to get, I understand that, and I empathize with them. But I also empathize with the family who has to deal with their father being shot down by a fucking gang right in their neighborhood, right? So, like, you know, like, you got to get to work to drop off your bananas versus someone, like, down the street from me being shot and killed by a gang. You know, I'm a little bit more concerned with one of those things. So, but, like, you know, they were there. To my understanding, there was also protesters in other groups. This is another thing, is that protesters have been, like, splitting up into different groups. And I'm just running with a group that has the most people that I recognize from, you know, the first day, the second day, and that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of where I'm sticking. I'm sticking with some of the people that I have more of the recognizable faces because, again, I am a resident of this city. I'm not just here for, like, epic footage. I'm not just here to cause a ruckus, which I am also here for. But I'm first and foremost prioritizing that I'm a member of the community. So I try to stick with the people that I know the best. And so, but there were people blocking other major intersections, to my understanding. And again, we live relatively close to the North Carolina-Virginia border. And to my understanding, traffic on some areas was blocked up all the way up until Virginia. So people were, like, really, like, we are causing a big stink. And it's great, and I love it. And so around 7:30 is where I get this video of police. I just have the audio. Like, you can kind of hear it. It's more easier to hear in person because, like, the way frequencies work, right? It fucking gets to the bottom of your neck or something. Right, but, like, they're on the loudspeaker saying that if you don't, like, leave by 8, you're going to be subject to arrest. And so I, you know, am with people that were, like, has a house, like, down the street. And so basically we tell people that if shit gets crazy, you know, you can come by this address and, like, we got you. And so we're down the house. And so, like, around 8, I start to, like, you know, look at the perimeter. There's a bunch of cops forming. You know, like, right, I want to be very clear. So the bridge is on the left in this clip here, right? And then there's the main street there, and then the main street there, right? And then there's, like, this grassy knoll, and then there's, like, a parking lot, right? And so cops started coming up on this side, and a lot of people were not aware of that. Now, to my understanding, and I do have some of the status quo footage because they stayed there the whole night. But from my understanding, the cops never went through this section. But as you can see, they had, like, vans and stuff, like, getting ready to park out here. And so that was where I ended my coverage for the night. And I'm going to get into the status quo outlook because, again, as a trans person, I don't want to be arrested. And I'm going to say that right now. I don't want to be arrested as a trans person in a southern state. Like, just plain and simple. And I didn't want to be in a position where I could have been arrested. So I took a safe option. And so I just wanted to say that, like, everyone who did stay out late, amazing. Like, you know, beautiful, brilliant people. And I'm going to get into some of this footage here. Amazing and brilliant and absolutely wonderful people, and I love all of them. And so Status Quo was there the whole time. So I was like, you know, constantly trying to, like, you know, get updates. And as you can see here, if you just scroll through, these motherfuckers were like lined up like fucking cartoon characters, like doing this like move up bullshit. We're like, okay, now I just want to, okay, you're a human being? Now everyone, like, just close your eyes. Thought like time here. You're a human being, right? Now imagine someone gives you a stick, and tells you to, like, say move up in a choreographed fashion, right, like a cartoon character, while skipping. Like, imagine, right, okay, now you're thinking, I'm thinking, are there drugs involved? Like, because if there's drugs involved, right, like, I'm down. Like, okay, give me the drugs, let's do this, right? But these motherfuckers are like, okay, no, we're serious. We have sticks, and we do, like, dances, you know? And so they stand here threateningly. At this point, I mean, I guess they were there for like an hour beforehand as well, yeah. So they, like, start marching up menacingly. They arrest a couple people who were standing there, or sitting there, rather. I think that's around this section. And of course, I highly recommend going to watch this whole video from Status Quo. They arrest some people sitting there, and then they kind of leave at some point. And I want to show that part. Yeah, this part here. Like, imagine doing this. Like, imagine doing this, right? Imagine, like, okay, like, bear with me here. So you're a human being, right? You've been alive for, let's say, an average of 30 years, right? You've been alive for 30 years. And someone gives you a stick and tells you to do this. Like, I'm throwing that, like, I'm just like okay. Like, I know. But, like, okay, so they give you a stick. And they give you, like, a costume, like a Halloween costume. Like, you put your little Halloween costume on. And they say, all right, you're going to skip. Right? And you're going to, like, skip like a fuck, like, skip to the loo, my darling, with a stick. And you're going to say, move back. In unison. Like, it's choir. And then all these, like, macho motherfuckers are like, yes, sir. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Right? And so, and there's a point. Yeah. Like, again, imagine doing that. Like, imagine doing that. Yeah. And imagine, like, I don't want to, like, you know, be that person. But, like, what's with all, like, the female cops that are doing all that shit? What's with all the female cops that, like, have their big stick and go, like, you know, move back? Like, what are you doing? Like, if you listen carefully, you see, like, the women try to do, like, the deep voice, like, who are you trying to impress? Like, and then, of course, like, what's going on with the non-white cops? Like, what are you doing right now? You're a non-white riot cop? What? And so, and that's a good point in the chat, is these riot police, again, there was a riot last night. It was the police. The police got their rioting and looting gear. They got their big sticks. They got their guns. And they were rioting and looting through our streets. What were they looting? They were stealing people from us. They were literally kidnapping people on international television. Now, I want to remind everyone, I do not respect authority. Strip away all the notions of, like, oh, they've got a badge. Oh, they can arrest. No, strip away all that garbage. If a group of people in Halloween costumes with big sticks and guns came into your city and just stole people from a crowd, you don't know where they are, and put them into a truck and drove away, what would you think? If there were any situation where this not the police, what would you think? You would think, oh shit. That's what you would think. And that's what you should think, because who knows where the fuck, like, those people are right now. And I want to be very clear about that. And again, the makeup of these riot police, these are outside agitators, right? Some of them are Pasquotank County Sheriff, but some of them are police departments from Virginia. Some of them are police departments on the border of North Carolina, not in the border of North Carolina and Virginia, the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. Like, now I want to remind everyone, we are at the border of Virginia. We are about 20 minutes away from Virginia. So not only are there cops from Virginia, not only are there cops from the borders of Virginia, there are cops from North Carolina, from the border of South Carolina, bust in outside agitators being bussed into my small town of 18,000 people, outside agitators being bussed in with guns, with tanks, with trucks, with big sticks, with tear gas, with chemical weapons. Outside agitators are being bussed into my small community. Now, I want to, again, strip away all the logic that you might have in your brain behind authority. You need to be 100% against authority, not 99%, not 98%, right? We live in the United States of America in the year 2021. You don't need to do that bullshit where it's like, hypothetically, if we had good law enforcement, then I'm right there with you, brother, right? That's not the world we live in. You need to get your shit together. You need to get your head out of your asshole, because when you do that kind of stuff in this moment, what happens is people misunderstand that as you're defending police, right? Now, I don't, I'm not here to be that person that tells you how to think, right? And you can make your own conclusions. But again, I want to remind everyone of the footage that Ben Crump showed of them on the back of a pickup truck with their AR-15s fully loaded to try to arrest someone with no history of violence, with no history of weapons, with no history of criminal behavior. What were they there to arrest him for? Right, drugs. Random substances that we've decided to make criminal. Would you go into a neighborhood with people with AR-15s on the back of a pickup truck to arrest someone for coffee? If someone was making some morning brew at their house with the intent to sell, maybe? Would you go in there and try to kill them for coffee? What about alcohol? Let's say someone's got some, some primo shit at their house and they're having a party. But in order to get in that party, you need to pay an entrance fee. So they are selling alcohol. Would you go in there with a truck full of gangsters with machine guns to try to kill them because they were selling alcohol? If the answer to that question is no, and you have any different answer to the question about cocaine or marijuana, then I'm sorry. Shut the fuck up. You're garbage. You need to go to therapy, and I hope you get help soon, because you are one dumb motherfucker. You have betrayed your fellow human. You have decided to give away your own humanity, and I'm talking to all the cops out there. I'm talking to all the Trumpers. I'm talking about all these motherfuckers. You have decided to take the gift of humanity, the precious, wonderful gift of human consciousness. You've decided to waste that, flush it down the drain for nothing. You don't get anything out of it. At least the cop is getting paid. Trumper on Facebook, you get nothing. You are willing to sacrifice your brother, your sister, your fellow human for nothing. Just so your aunt on Facebook likes your post and you get that little, oh, my auntie liked my post on Facebook. Just for that small dopamine hit. That's what you're willing to sell down your entire species. I'm talking about the same people that don't believe in climate change. You are willing to sell your entire species to propagate the extinction of all of humanity. You're willing to do for a couple likes on Facebook. Right? And again, I want to remind everyone, these cops left around this point, I believe. They stood there. And again, and that they arrested these people, I believe. This is when they started arresting people, I believe. Yes. So they start arresting people, and then shortly afterward they leave. Now again, you're seeing, now I showed in some of my footage is they've got these big white trucks, right? And they were lining them up over here, in the back, as you can see, there's a bunch of trucks back there. I don't know. I didn't get the greatest footage. But I just recorded a video to send it to people. And so, right, so they got these big ass trucks and they just start bringing people away, in trucks, right? And then they start leaving, right? They just stand here menacingly up until about 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. And then they leave. So if there is a curfew again tonight, I might stay out. Just because I feel like it's less of a concern. Or it could be more of a concern. right? But they stand here, and again, look at this bitch, right? And I hate to be this person. Look at this fucking bitch. Now, I was watching the live feed last night, right? I was watching the live feed last night, and it was like, this, like, I'm sorry, man. Imagine being this human. Like, I'm just like, right? Like, I know, right? This is where I'm at right now. You are dedicating the human consciousness. Now, I want to remind everyone, right? By the way, I hear a lot of sirens outside. Either shit's going down, like, right outside my house, or, like, I don't know. Or another possible option. But imagine, right? Imagine being this fucking bitch. This disgusting, gutter, fucking sewage, fucking fueled, fucking disgusting loser, whore, bitch. And I hate to use that kind of language on a woman like that. Except I don't, because that's not a woman. That's a police officer. There is no such thing as a black cop. There is no such thing as a woman cop. There are cops. You trade in whatever fucking garbage for the blue shield. That's my fucking shit right there. Okay? I don't give a fuck, right, what kind of fucking cop you want to pretend to be. Oh, I'm this kind of cop. I'm not. No. Bitch motherfucker, you're a cop, right? And so, like, I just want to say, like, she's looking really nervous and that, right? And so I was like getting, like, you know, hyped up over that last night. Go! And then they just start leaving. And then they just left. Oh, look at that. And then everyone's making fun of them. There's a great thing where the protesters start screaming, move back, as they're moving back, which is amazing. There you go. Move back! Move back! Move back! So they left, and then now at this point, because the police were rioting and looting through the streets, they were just, again, the police. We had a military occupation of our city, a small city, right? We had military rioting and looting through our city, stealing not just things, not just property, but people. We had gangsters, violent, white supremacist gangsters coming, bust in from 200 to 300 miles away, bust in white supremacist terrorists rioting in our streets and stealing citizens that live here, stealing civilians of this city, stealing them, looting them, throwing them into unmarked vans and driving off. We don't know where they are. We're trying to figure out where they are, right? And so because the police were rioting and looting through our city, right, traffic was so backed up, I didn't get home until like midnight. And so, yeah. And again, like, I wanted to say, I was down the street when this whole thing was happening. There were parts where, like, we heard gunshots. I don't know if that was, like, you know, because we were down the street in downtown Elizabeth City, or if that was, like, you know, something that was happening down there. But when we had the stream open, we didn't hear any gunshots on the stream. So I don't know. But it was freaking me the fuck out. We saw a bunch of, like, cop cars, sheriff's cars, like, these unmarked vans, like, just and they were speeding down the road. Like, you know, we have like, this is a residential neighborhood, right? We have, like, a speed limit of, like, 20 miles per hour. These cars, I shit you not, were at least doing, like, 70, 80 miles per hour down this small residential street. And there were, like, caravans of these fucking cop cars. There were caravans of those, like, fucking unmarked vans. And we don't know what they were doing with them. We have no idea. We don't know if they snatched people on the way home. We don't know if they dispersed so that other people would disperse and that they could snatch people on the way home. We don't know. We have no idea. And so, you know, as far as I'm concerned, we're still figuring that out. And so, again, I'm going to go out there. I will probably, if there is a curfew again, I'm going to be honest, I will probably be out there. We'll see, though. Again, like, I really don't want to get arrested as a trans person. Like, getting arrested as a trans person in a southern state, I mean, like, goddamn, right? Like, that's not a situation you want to be in. That's not a situation I want to be in, right? So, like, I'm going to be very careful not to get arrested, right? Because, like, just bear with me. I don't want to be in that fucking situation. Please understand. And so, if there is, like, a sign that I might get arrested, I might dip. But, I will probably just have my camera out and try to, like, you know, do the whole press thing as much as possible. And see if, you know, like, and also back up. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna sit down. I'm not gonna do any of that shit. But I will probably cover more after the curfew tonight. And so I'll keep that in mind. And yeah, so that's what happened day 7. It took 7 days until outside agitators, white supremacist terrorists, got bussed in 200, 300, 400 miles away. Bust in white supremacists with guns that came to my city of 18,000 people, my city, to riot and loot in the streets. That's what they did. There is no fucking around with the facts on this one. There is no there is no whoa, there is no there is no boo. Go take your bullshit, shove it up your ass, and, you know, come for all I care. Because, like, Jesus Christ, you need something going on. Anyway, so that's that. That's day 7 of the Andrew Brown protests. Yeah, so a little, it's getting a little bit hectic down here. It's getting a little bit crazy, let me tell you.